It started as a whisper, a quiet question almost too soft to catch. One day, Meghan's mother, Doria, leaned in and asked something that stunned everyone around her. "What are Archie and Lily like? I've never really seen them." No one knew what to say. A grandmother should remember birthdays, little laughs, messy hands, and favorite toys. But Doria said she had none of those memories, not because she forgot, but because she had barely spent time with them. Those simple words opened a door no one expected to look behind. If the woman closest to Meghan rarely saw the children, then who did? And why did she sound nervous to even ask? It was the first hint that Meghan and Harry's picture-perfect family might not match what was happening inside their home. Something wasn't adding up. And once that first question slipped out, more unsettling details followed from someone who lived inside the house far longer, someone who saw everything except the very thing she expected to see. When the maid finally spoke, her voice was disguised, not for attention, but because she said she could no longer keep quiet. She worked in the house for months, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. She cleaned every room and walked through every hallway, watching daily life unfold. Yet she said the house never felt alive. It didn't sound like a home with children. It didn't look like a place where a family lived. Instead, it felt staged, like a movie set arranged perfectly for a scene and then frozen afterward. Every room was flawless, untouched, and too perfect, nothing ever out of place. Nothing in the house looked used. There was none of the natural mess or warmth real life brings. The maid didn't sound angry or dramatic when she described it. Her voice was calm, almost weary, like someone who wished her observations were wrong. And the most disturbing part, she said, wasn't what she saw, it was what she never saw. A home with children is never silent. Even the quiet ones leave traces behind: tiny shoes by the door, toys under tables, crayons scattered where they don't belong. There are giggles, cries, footsteps, clutter. But in Meghan and Harry's mansion, none of that existed. The maid said she never once saw toys, children's clothes, or even a single sock out of place. She never heard laughter or crying. She would step into a room and wait, hoping to hear something, anything that proved kids lived there. But every room met her with the same heavy, unnatural silence. One day, she asked another staff member softly, "Do you ever see the children?" The woman shook her head and whispered, "Never." And this wasn't after a week or a month. This was after months of working from sunrise to sunset. The world believed Archie and Lily were growing up behind those gates. Yet the people inside the house, the ones who cooked, cleaned, and lived there every day, couldn't find a single sign of them. That eerie emptiness made the maid start asking herself the same question Doria had whispered. Where were the children? And the deeper she thought about her time there, the stranger it all seemed. In a normal home, a mother moves with purpose, checking on her kids, talking to them, gathering their little things. But nothing in that house felt normal. But Meghan's presence in the house never felt natural. In the beginning, she showed up 3 or 4 times a week, yet even then she never stayed long. She would enter like someone stepping onto a set, speaking quickly, appearing rushed, always surrounded by people. The maid said Meghan was never alone. Someone was always behind her: Marcus Anderson, a blonde assistant, sometimes even a full camera crew with lighting and sound equipment. To the staff, the house stopped feeling like a family home. It felt like a stage, a place where moments were recorded but never truly lived. As time passed, Meghan's visits dropped to just 2 days a week. Staff members whispered that she appeared more like a visitor than a mother, as if she was checking on a project rather than returning to her children. What troubled the maid most was how rehearsed Meghan seemed. She only spoke when cameras were around. She looked at her reflection more than at the rooms. She moved through the house like she was performing a role, not living a life. And slowly, the maid began to understand why the home never felt real. It wasn't built for a family. It was built for an image that was beginning to crack. The breaking point came one evening. The maid was cleaning the kitchen counters when shouting echoed down the hallway. The voices were so loud she couldn't ignore them. She recognized Meghan, first sharp and angry. But what stopped her cold was Harry's voice. He didn't sound angry. He sounded desperate. When the maid reached the doorway, she saw Harry holding Meghan's arms, begging her to stop as she tried to hit him. He didn't fight back. He didn't raise his voice. He looked exhausted, embarrassed, defeated. Marcus Anderson stepped in, pulling Meghan away as Harry collapsed into a chair. Then the house fell into a new kind of silence, heavier than any before. The maid walked over and quietly handed Harry a glass of water. He whispered, "Thank you." And in that moment, she said she finally understood everything, the weight he carried, the sadness in his eyes, the life he was trapped inside. After that night, nothing in the house felt the same. After that night, the smiles faded. The laughter disappeared, the tension in the house grew thicker each day, and the picture of a happy family slowly fell apart. But what shocked people most was what the maid revealed next. She said she never once saw Meghan pregnant, not with Archie, not with Lilibet, not during any of the months she worked in the home. She never saw a baby bump, never saw morning sickness, never noticed the small physical changes that normally come with pregnancy. At first, she wondered if she had somehow overlooked the signs, but she worked 12-hour shifts, 5 days a week. She saw Meghan almost daily before the visit slowed down. She walked past her in hallways, watched her fix her clothes, saw her up close, and still nothing indicated she was expecting. When she quietly asked other staff if they had noticed anything, they all admitted the same thing: no signs at all. Yet, outside the mansion, magazines showed glowing maternity photos, elegant dresses, perfect smiles, Meghan cradling a perfectly round belly. Inside the house, none of it matched. The maid said she wasn't making accusations, she was simply sharing what she witnessed, or rather, what she never witnessed. And to her, that was the clearest truth of all. Something about those pregnancies didn't make sense. Months later, after she left the job, she watched Meghan and Harry's Netflix documentary. She expected to see familiar rooms or corners of the home she had cleaned. Instead, she saw something that unsettled her. The house on the screen looked completely different. The layout was wrong, the angles didn't match. Even the garden, the one she walked through every day, didn't resemble what she remembered. The documentary showed Meghan glowing in sunlight, holding a baby bump the maid said she never once saw in real life. There were scenes of the couple playing with their children in a bright garden, chickens clucking around them, laughter everywhere. But to the maid, it all felt staged, like watching people perform someone else's life. She had cleaned the real garden, she had swept beneath the real chicken coop, and she never saw children there, not once. What the world saw as intimate family moments looked to her like scenes filmed somewhere else entirely. The maid's first realization came quietly, but it stayed with her. The home she worked in didn't feel lived in. It didn't feel like a place where a young family laughed, played, or grew together. Instead, it felt staged more like a set than a home. Staff had to surrender their phones every morning, undergo searches, and follow rules so strict they bordered on oppressive. Cameras monitored the workers, not the children, and silence followed them from room to room. One afternoon, a housekeeper snapped a simple photo of flowers outside. Within minutes, security stormed through the hallway, deleted the picture, and issued a chilling warning. That moment made everything clear. This wasn't just about guarding privacy. This was about controlling what could be seen and what absolutely couldn't. As weeks passed, quiet conversations began slipping through the cracks. Workers who had been there far longer whispered the same unsettling thing. None of them had ever seen Archie or Lilibet. The woman who handled laundry never washed children's clothes. The grocery staff never bought baby food. Even the normally emotionless security guards exchanged uneasy glances, as if they too sensed something wasn't right. No toys, no messes, no tiny shoes by the door, just rooms that looked perfect, untouched, and strangely hollow. Meanwhile, the outside world saw polished documentaries, smiling interviews, and picture-perfect moments. But behind the gates, the people living inside the mansion saw a very different story, one defined by emptiness and secrets locked behind silence. And so, a single question remains, one whispered by staff, echoed by family, and still unanswered today. If no one inside the home ever saw the children, then where were they? If you want more breakdowns like this, remember to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story.